The galaxy had fought wars for centuries. Empires rose and fell, star systems burned, and countless lives were lost in battles that stretched across the stars. Yet Earth never joined them. Humanity stayed silent, watching from the edges of the galactic map, speaking when asked, trading when allowed, but never drawing a blade. For generations, the galaxy grew used to this silence. To them, humans were strange builders, thinkers, storytellers, but never warriors. The word spread in council chambers and alien taverns alike. Earth avoids war. It became a joke. Alien soldiers mocked humans as the quiet ones. Admirals laughed at the idea of a human fleet. Children of other species grew up hearing tales of how humans were weak, too fragile to fight, too soft to lead. Whenever war came, humans stepped aside, and the galaxy believed that silence was proof of weakness. No one asked why Earth avoided war. They simply accepted it as truth. But silence is not always weakness. Sometimes it is patience. Whispers had always lingered in the dark. Stories passed like forbidden myths. Old captains claimed they saw human ships disappear into unknown regions of space. Smugglers spoke of starfields where strange signals echoed. Explorers swore entire fleets were hidden in deep shadows, waiting for something. But such stories were dismissed as nonsense. The galaxy wanted to believe humans were harmless. It was easier that way. Then came the Tsar Dominion. The Tsar were an old empire, proud and cruel, hungry for expansion. Their fleets had crushed dozens of civilizations, and their arrogance grew with every victory. When their eyes turned to Earth, they saw not a world, but prey. They laughed at the thought of forcing humanity to kneel. To the Tsar, humans were sheep waiting for slaughter. The first sign came as static across Earth's long-range channels. Then the signal cleared. A voice, deep and cruel, echoed through every human command center. Earth, it said, you will kneel before the Dominion. Pay tribute or be erased. The words struck the world like thunder. For a long moment, silence held the Earth. The Dominion expected fear. They expected begging, desperate pleas for mercy. But Earth answered with silence again. That silence spread across the galaxy, unnerving some, amusing others. They are too afraid, alien leaders laughed. They will do nothing, as always. But the Dominion did not wait for surrender. Their fleets moved quickly, targeting the colonies near human space. At first, it was only intimidation raids, scans, the destruction of unmanned stations. But then came the first true strike. A human colony, home to 20,000, was erased in fire. Every soul gone. The galaxy reacted with mockery. Now the humans will hide forever, alien voices sneered. They will beg the Dominion for mercy. But in the shadows of Earth's council chambers, the silence had already begun to shift. Leaders sat in a circle, the weight of centuries pressing on their shoulders. The oldest among them spoke. We have avoided war for as long as possible, but the enemy has come too close. Another voice, steady but grim, answered. We cannot remain silent any longer. If they wish to test us, they will see what Earth has hidden.
Oh.
The room was filled with unease. No one spoke loudly. Decisions were made in whispers, like storm clouds forming far away. Outside, the people of Earth lived their lives, unaware that their world stood on the edge of something that would shake the galaxy. The Tsar believed they had broken humanity's spirit. Instead, they had broken the chains of silence. Rumors began to spread once again. But this time, they were not dismissed so easily. Traders whispered of ships seen on the edges of star systems, massive vessels unlike anything in the Dominion's fleets. Miners reported vanishing patrols. Dominion scouts disappeared near Jupiter. Their last transmissions filled with static and fear. And still, Earth said nothing. The suspense grew unbearable. Entire sectors held their breath, waiting for Earth to finally act. But Earth did not announce war. They did not threaten, did not boast, did not roar like other empires. They simply watched, listened, and waited. The Dominion commander in charge of the invasion laughed before his soldiers. The humans are weak. They will never fight. But his laughter rang hollow when reports arrived of scouts gone missing, of fleets not returning. Something unseen moved in the dark, and those who glimpsed it spoke no more. The galaxy began to wonder. Could it be true? Had Earth been hiding more than stories? Was the silence not weakness, but preparation? The thought spread like fire, and for the first time, the galaxy did not laugh. In the skies above Earth, ancient shipyards lit up with power. Long-dormant stations hummed as energy coursed through them. Deep in hidden docks, massive shadows stirred, metallic giants waking after centuries of sleep. Their hulls were scarred with the memory of ancient wars, their cannons polished, their engines burning with renewed fire. Still, no word left Earth. The people went about their days. The councils remained quiet. The fleets did not yet move. Only the hum of power stations and the glint of awakening warships betrayed what was coming. Then, on a quiet night far above the world, a single message left Earth. It did not go to the Dominion. It did not go to the galaxy. It was a signal, short and clear, sent only to those who would understand. 3 words that broke centuries of silence. Begin the awakening. The galaxy had always believed humans had no claws. Now, for the first time in living memory, those claws were being unsheathed. The silence that once made the galaxy laugh would soon make it tremble. And though the galaxy did not know it yet, the long silence of Earth was about to end. The storm had only just begun. The Tsar Dominion was not patient. They never were. Their fleets were built for conquest, not waiting. After sending their threat to Earth and hearing no reply, they grew restless. To them, silence was weakness, and weakness was an invitation to strike. At first, they struck lightly. Small raiding parties moved near the edges of human space, testing defenses, probing for any response. They destroyed unmanned satellites, burned empty stations, and jammed communication lines. To the Dominion, it was sport. Soldiers laughed as they broadcast images of ruined stations, mocking the humans who refused to answer. See? They jeered. They hide in fear. They will not fight. But the Dominion wanted more than silence. They wanted submission. They wanted to hear humans beg. And when no begging came, their leaders made a decision. They would destroy a colony, not with soldiers, but with fire. The colony of Lasker's Reach was small, a growing hub on the edge of the system. Filled with families, miners, and traders, 20,000 men, women, and children lived beneath its domes. Life there was hard, but hopeful. The people trusted Earth's long peace. They believed war would never touch them. When Dominion warships appeared in their skies, no one believed it was real. At first, they thought it was a drill or some mistake, but then the warships fired. The ground shook as the sky burned. Energy beams tore through the domes, melting metal and glass, and the air itself ignited. Families tried to flee, but there was nowhere to run. Within minutes, the colony was ash. The Dominion commander sent a single transmission across the stars, his voice filled with cruel pride. This is the price of silence. Kneel, or more will burn. The message spread quickly, carried on every channel, every network. The galaxy watched, and once again, they mocked. Alien broadcasters reported the destruction with laughter in their voices. The humans cannot fight, they said. They will surrender like frightened animals. On distant worlds, children pointed at hollow screens and called Earth Week. But something had shifted. On Earth. The council gathered in secret, the weight of the colony's death pressing upon them. The chamber was dark, the air heavy with grief and anger. No one raised their voice, yet every word carried power. One elder stood and said quietly, "The blood of our people cries out." "We cannot stay silent now," another added. "If we do nothing, the galaxy will believe this is all we are. And worse, they will believe they can take more." A long silence followed. Then the decision was made. Earth would no longer avoid war. Across the stars, subtle changes began. Military networks lit up with encrypted signals. Sleeper agents whispered to outposts in hidden sectors. Deep within forgotten shipyards, lights flickered on one by one as machines long unused returned to life. Still, Earth made no announcement. To the galaxy, nothing seemed to change. But in the shadows, a storm was forming. Meanwhile, the Dominions celebrated their victory. Their soldiers raised toasts in orbit over the burning remains of Lasker's Reach. Admirals declared that Earth would be crushed in months. The Dominion believed they had proven their point, that humanity would finally bow. But among the survivors who escaped before the final strike, stories began to spread. They told of strange transmissions heard before the attack. Deep signals that seemed to come not from Earth, but from somewhere far beyond. They spoke of distant shadows in the void, vast shapes that vanished when approached. Other alien species began to whisper again. Some laughed, saying humans would never rise. But others remembered the old myths. They recalled the strange disappearances of ships that wandered too close to human space. They remembered the warnings that silence was not weakness, but waiting. For the first time in generations, fear touched their voices when they spoke of Earth. In the Dominion command halls, the admirals argued. Some urged immediate invasion of Earth itself, convinced it would fall quickly. Others warned caution, uneasy about the missing scouts near Jupiter, about the strange signals their fleets kept intercepting. But the High Lord of the Dominion dismissed all doubts. Humans are prey, he said. They cannot fight us. They have no armies, no fleets. We will crush them before they draw breath. His words drew cheers from his generals. But in the shadows, unease lingered. For while the Dominion laughed, Earth was already preparing, on a quiet night. Beneath the surface of Mars, an ancient bunker stirred. Hidden there for centuries were ships of war, massive and silent, kept secret even from most of Earth's own citizens. Engines hummed, power flowed, and shadows began to move. The first warship rose from its cradle, its hull scarred from an older war no one remembered, its cannons polished and armed. In the black depths beyond Pluto, other fleets came alive. No one outside Earth had ever seen them. They were larger, faster, built for war, not peace. They had been kept in darkness for centuries, waiting for the day Earth would need them. That day had come, and still Earth said nothing. No declarations, no threats, no words of vengeance. To the galaxy, the humans remained silent. But those who listened carefully could hear the echoes of something vast moving in the dark. 1. Dominion scout ship tried to investigate. It vanished. Another followed, and its last report was a scream of static. Dominion commanders grew uneasy, but their pride blinded them. They told themselves it was chance or failure of equipment. They refused to believe Earth could strike. The truth was darker. The humans were already striking, but quietly like hunters in the night. The Dominion did not yet know it, but the war had begun, and somewhere deep in Earth's command center, the human admiral looked at the reports, his face hard as stone. He whispered to his officers, "We asked for peace. They asked for war. We will show them both." The silence was ending, and with it, the galaxy's illusion of safety. The galaxy had always believed humans were harmless. They built ships, yes, but for trade and exploration. They traveled, yes, but to learn, not to conquer. In the eyes of alien empires, humanity was curious, but weak, patient, but powerless. After the destruction of Lasker's Reach, those old beliefs were repeated again and again. The humans will hide, the Dominion said. They will weep, but they will not fight. But something strange began to spread quiet stories, half-whispered in dark corners of spaceports and council halls. Traders swore they had seen ships moving near the asteroid belts, massive shadows that gave no identification codes. Smugglers told of entire convoys vanishing when they tried to slip past the edge of human space. Explorers reported signals in the deep black pulses of energy that seemed to come from nowhere. At first, no one believed them, but the stories kept growing, and with each telling, they carried the same word: hidden fleets. The Dominion tried to dismiss these rumors, but even their commanders began to notice patterns. Scouts were going missing. Whole patrols vanished without explanation. One officer reported seeing a warship so large it blotted out the stars before his transmission dissolved into static. His signal was never heard again. Meanwhile, on Earth, silence still ruled. There were no broadcasts, no threats, no grand announcements. Cities glowed in peace, people carried on their daily lives, and the government said nothing. But beneath the surface, in bunkers hidden under oceans and mountains, the truth was unfolding. Humanity was preparing. For centuries, Earth had sworn never to join the wars of the galaxy. They had kept their fleets in secret, locked away, waiting for a day they prayed would never come. Ancient warships built in an age long forgotten had been hidden in the shadows of space, stored in hollowed moons and deep orbital vaults. Newer vessels, designed in silence, had been constructed under false identities, disguised as stations or mining rigs. Even Earth's own allies did not know the full truth. The humans had waited, patient as stone. For the moment, they would be forced to awaken. Now that moment had arrived, deep in the black beyond Pluto. Engines roared to life. Massive carriers, their hulls dark as night, powered up their cores. Dreadnoughts, bristling with weapons, broke free of their hidden cradles. Fleets of smaller vessels swarmed into formation, silent and disciplined. Their lights were dimmed, their transmissions encrypted, but their presence filled the void. A sleeping giant had begun to stir. The first to notice were the scavengers, those who lived on the edge of law, feeding on scraps left behind by empires. They spoke of seeing shadows moving where no fleets should be. They claimed to hear strange voices over open channels, whispers in a language they could not understand. When they tried to follow, their ships were found drifting days later, empty, their crews gone. Fear spread quickly among them, and they avoided human space entirely. But the Dominion was not so cautious. Their commanders sent more scouts, more probes, determined to prove the rumors false. Again and again, the scouts vanished. One ship returned, its hull shredded, its crew mad with terror. They spoke of ships without names, ships that moved without sound, ships that hunted like predators in the dark. The Dominion executed the survivors for cowardice. But their words lingered in the minds of those who heard them. Still, the Dominion High Lord laughed. "It is smoke and shadow," he declared. "The humans are weak. They have nothing. We will march on Earth and break them." His generals cheered, but some lowered their eyes. Doubt was beginning to take root. On distant worlds, other alien species began to whisper in fear. Some recalled the old warnings, the legends told long before Earth joined the galactic community. Tales of a violent world, a death world, where even the air and seas tried to kill its people. Stories of a species that had fought not for expansion, but for survival, against their own world and against each other. The galaxy had laughed at those tales before. Now, they wondered if they had laughed too soon. Back on Earth, in a chamber buried beneath the Capitol, the council met again. The walls were lined with screens showing Dominion fleets moving closer. Reports of the colony's destruction filled the room with grief and anger, but still no one raised their voice. They spoke quietly, calmly, like hunters planning a strike. One counselor asked, "Shall we reveal the fleet?" The admiral in command shook his head. "Not yet. Let them believe we are silent. Let them believe we are weak. When they come closer, they will see the truth with their own eyes. And if the galaxy watches," another asked. The admiral's face was cold. "Then the galaxy will learn what it means to wake us." The decision was clear. The fleets would remain hidden for now, but they would strike when the moment came. Humanity would not shout, would not threaten, would not beg. They would let the enemy come too close, and they would answer with fire. Far above the Earth, in low orbit, a single ship broke the silence. It was a small craft, nothing compared to the hidden armadas, but its signal was clear. It transmitted across encrypted channels, reaching the waiting fleets beyond Pluto. Two words flashed in every command station. Every hidden dockyard, every warship waiting in the void: "Stand ready." And with that, the sleeping giant opened its eyes. The Dominion did not know it yet, but the war they had started would not be the war they expected. They thought they were facing prey. In truth, they had awoken predators. And when humanity's silence finally broke, the galaxy would never laugh again. The Tsar Dominion grew bolder with every passing day. Their fleets moved closer to Earth, their commanders laughing at the thought of conquering a world that had never lifted a sword in centuries. They called humans sheep among wolves and boasted in their war halls that the conquest of Earth would be the easiest in their long history of slaughter. Yet strange reports continued to reach them. Scouts vanished. Probes returned, broken or not at all. Patrols sent into the asteroid belt simply disappeared. A few transmissions survived, filled with static and fragments of terror. Shadows in the dark, one voice whispered before it was cut off. Another screamed of ships larger than cities, black as the void, moving with impossible silence. Dominion officers dismissed them as lies, but deep in their hearts, unease began to grow. The first true strike came quietly. A Dominion scouting fleet of 5 warships moved near Jupiter, their sensors scanning for human defenses. They expected to find nothing but mining stations and orbital wreckage. Instead, their screens filled with shadows. At first they thought it was a glitch, but then the shadows moved. Enormous shapes emerged from the black holes, coated in stealth plating that bent light and swallowed sound. The Dominion ships tried to raise alarms. But before a single message left their transmitters, beams of light ripped through their holes. In seconds, the fleet was gone. Not a survivor remained. The Dominion never learned what destroyed those ships. All they knew was that their patrol vanished. Their commanders whispered of the void hunters humans were rumored to keep. But it was only the beginning. Within days, more Dominion fleets were struck. Sometimes they disappeared without a trace. Sometimes they were found drifting, every crewman dead, their ships pierced by weapons unlike anything the Dominion had seen. One captain, before his vessel broke apart, managed to send a single line, "They are here." No one knew who they were, but the galaxy began to guess. Rumors spread like fire. Traders swore they saw entire human fleets moving silently through the black. Smugglers claimed to have glimpsed a dreadnought so vast it cast shadows across moons. Refugees fleeing the Dominion whispered that humanity had woken something the galaxy was not ready to face. The whispers carried one name, the Sleeping Giant. On Earth, the Council remained silent. No broadcasts, no declarations of war. But in hidden command rooms, reports of successful strikes filled the screens. Dominion fleets destroyed, colonies protected, enemies running. And yet the humans gave no speeches. They moved like hunters in a dark forest, striking without warning, leaving only silence behind. The galaxy was unsettled. For generations, they had mocked humanity for avoiding war. Now they realized that silence had not been feared, had been calculation. Humans were not weak. They had simply waited. And now, when they chose to move, they moved like predators. The Dominion, however, refused to admit fear. Their High Lord shouted before his generals, "These are tricks, shadows and lies. The humans are cowards hiding behind illusions." But even as he spoke, his fleets fell one by one. A major Dominion warfleet was ordered to advance on Saturn, 200 ships strong. They expected to crush whatever resistance humanity could mount. They entered the system with banners raised, signals broadcasting their coming triumph. But in the rings of Saturn, the hunters waited. From the ice and rock, human warships emerged. Black dreadnoughts, sleek carriers, squadrons of fighters that moved like sparks of fire in the void. They did not roar, did not broadcast, did not warn. They simply attacked. The first Dominion ships fell before they knew what was happening. The sky became a storm of light and fire. Human weapons cut through shields the Dominion believed were unbreakable. Dominion commanders screamed for retreat, but the black ships encircled them, silent and merciless. When the battle ended, not a single Dominion vessel remained. Only wreckage drifted, silent and cold, among the ice. The few who survived long enough to witness it spoke of the fear that consumed them. They did not fight like others. One dying Dominion officer whispered in his last recording, "They hunted us. They hunted us like prey." When news of the battle reached the galaxy, the laughter stopped. For the first time, the galaxy feared Earth. On distant worlds, leaders gathered in their own councils. Some argued that Earth must be left alone, no matter the cost. Others demanded alliances to prepare for what might come. But all agreed on one truth. The humans had ended their silence, and the galaxy would never be the same. Still, Earth spoke no words of war. The admiral who commanded the Saturn strike stood before his officers in the darkened bridge of his dreadnought. His voice was calm, his face hard as stone. "We warned them," he said. "We begged them to leave us in peace. They thought silence was weakness. Now they will learn what silence truly means." More fleets were awakened. More warships emerged from hidden vaults. Humanity's armada, long concealed, began to stretch its claws. The Dominion had wanted a war, and now they had one. But it was not the easy victory they imagined. It was a war against a predator that had been waiting in the dark for centuries. And so the first strikes of humanity shook the stars, silent but deadly, like a storm before dawn. The galaxy trembled as it realized the truth. The sleeping giant had risen, and it would not go back to sleep. The galaxy had begun to whisper. Silence had turned into fear. Fleets of the Dominion were disappearing one after another, and still Earth said nothing. No declaration, no threat, no demand. Only actions in the dark. But the Dominion could no longer ignore it. Their pride, once unshakable, began to crack. Their commanders whispered among themselves, wondering if they had awakened something they could not control. The High Lord of the Dominion roared in anger when reports reached him. "They are shadows, nothing more. Tricks, ambushes. Crush them. Burn their world." His words carried the weight of arrogance, but in his eyes there was doubt. He ordered the largest fleet the Dominion had ever sent against a single enemy, 500 ships. Dreadnoughts, carriers, destroyers. The order was simple. March on Earth itself. Break the humans before the galaxy. And show that silence could not hide weakness forever. The galaxy watched with dread. On council worlds, leaders gathered to observe the Great Armada's march. On backwater colonies, people whispered prayers, some for Earth, some for the Dominion. Everyone knew that this would decide the truth of humanity, where they pray or something far worse. As the Dominion fleet crossed into Sol, every sensor lit up. For a moment, silence hung heavy. The galaxy held its breath. Then, from the shadows, Earth answered. At first, the Dominion saw nothing but empty space. Then the stars shifted. One by one, enormous ships revealed themselves, human dreadnoughts. Carriers larger than cities, their hulls black as the void. Hundreds of warships rose from hidden cradles, their engines glowing like fire. Escorts swarmed around them, sleek and fast, like predators circling their prey. The Dominion had come expecting weakness. Instead, they faced a storm. For a moment, even the Dominion hesitated. Their admirals looked upon the Armada and knew the rumors were true. Earth had not been silent out of fear. They had been waiting, building, preparing. The humans had hidden their strength in plain sight, and now they revealed it in full. Then the battle began. The Dominion charged forward, confident in their numbers. 500 ships roared toward Earth's defenses. But the humans did not flinch. They did not retreat. With calm precision, the hidden fleet moved as one. The first volleys of fire lit the void. Human weapons, refined in secret, tore through Dominion shields as if they were glass. Dreadnoughts exploded before they could return fire. Fighters swept in like blades of light, cutting through carriers, dismantling them piece by piece. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. They had seen wars before, but never like this. The humans did not fight like other empires. They did not fight for conquest, for glory, or for dominance. They fought with the cold focus of survivors. Every strike was measured, every maneuver flawless. Every shot deadly. Dominion commanders screamed orders, but panic spread through their ranks. Their ships, so confident, so proud, fell apart under the precision of Earth's fleets. Whole formations vanished in seconds. One admiral shouted, "Retreat!" But there was nowhere to run. The human ships closed around them, relentless, merciless. When it was over, the battlefield was littered with wreckage. Hundreds of Dominion vessels burned, their hulks drifting silently. Only a handful escaped, limping back to spread the story of what they had seen. The greatest fleet the Dominion had ever assembled was gone. And Earth still had not spoken a single word to the galaxy. But silence was no longer weakness. It was power. In the hidden chambers of Earth's command, the Admiral stood before his officers. His voice was calm, but his words cut like iron. "We never wanted this war," he said. "We asked for peace. We begged for silence. But they came to us, and they burned our people. Now they will see what it means to wake humanity." His words were carried across encrypted channels, and every captain, every soldier, every pilot who heard them felt the weight of history on their shoulders. The galaxy was shaken. On worlds across the stars, leaders whispered in fear. If Earth had such fleets, hidden for centuries, what else were they hiding? If this was their strength revealed in the open, how much darker, how much greater was the power they still kept in shadow? No one knew. No one dared to guess. For the first time, the galaxy no longer mocked Earth. They feared it. But the war was not over. The Dominion, humiliated and broken, would not surrender so easily. They were an empire of pride, and pride does not die quickly. They would gather more ships, call upon their allies, and try again. Yet every attempt would now carry a shadow. Every soldier they sent would march into battle with the memory of black warships rising from the void. Every admiral would know, deep in their heart, that the humans were not prey. They were predators who had chosen to stay silent until now. The people of Earth looked to the stars with new eyes. They had stayed away from war for centuries, but the war had come to them. Now the silence was broken, and there was no turning back. The Dominion had demanded battle, and humanity had answered with a storm. The war they never wanted had begun. The galaxy would never forget the day Earth's fleets finally revealed themselves. The Dominion had never known fear. For centuries, they had conquered, enslaved, and crushed worlds beneath their fleets. To them, fear was something they gave to others, never something they felt themselves. But after the battle at Earth, fear spread like poison through their ranks. Entire fleets had been torn apart, hundreds of ships lost, and still, humanity had spoken no grand words, made no threats, claimed no victories. They had simply fattaned, destroyed everything in their path. The survivors who limped back from Earth told stories that chilled even their own commanders. They spoke of black warships that moved like shadows, of weapons that cut through shields as if they were paper. Of fleets that fought not like soldiers but like hunters. They told of an enemy that did not hesitate, did not boast, and did not spare. They said the humans were relentless, that they struck with precision. They fought with the cold focus of predators. The High Lord of the Dominion raged in his throne room, his voice echoing across the hall. "They cannot defeat us. They will pay in blood." His fist slammed against the arm of his throne, but the generals before him lowered their eyes. They had seen the truth. They had lost more in a single battle than in decades of war. Their enemy was not weak. Pret was something far worse. Earth did not wait for the Dominion to strike again. Humanity moved. From the shadows of hidden docks, more fleets emerged. Carriers filled with fighters, dreadnoughts armed with weapons the galaxy had never seen. Cruisers designed for speed and precision. They spread across the stars, not with reckless fury, but with cold calculation. Every strike was chosen carefully, every target planned with precision. Humanity did not fight for conquest. They fought to end the threat that had burned their colony, that had mocked their silence, that had forced them into war. The first counterstrike fell upon the Dominion outpost at Vorja. It was a fortress world, armed with fleets and defense towers that had crushed dozens of enemies before. The Dominion laughed when they heard rumors of a human attack, but when the black fleets arrived, laughter turned to screams. Human dreadnoughts cut through the defenses like fire through dry grass. Fighters moved in swarms, tearing apart enemy ships before they could even fire. The fortress fell in a single night. Not a single Dominion ship survived. Then came Corrin's Reach, another Dominion stronghold. The humans did not announce their attack. They appeared in silence, their ships descending like shadows, their weapons burning with fury. The Dominion defenders fought bravely, but bravery meant nothing. The humans did not fight fair, they fought to win. When the battle ended, the Dominion stronghold was ash. Again and again, the humans struck. Every attack was precise. Every battle ended in Dominion defeat. The galaxy watched in horror as the once mighty empire began to fall back, retreating before the relentless march of humanity. And still, Earth spoke no words. No victory cries, no boasts, no threats. Only silence, broken by the roar of war. The galaxy trembled. Species that once mocked Earth now looked to them with awe and terror. Council worlds whispered of a death world species finally unleashed. The question spread like wildfire. If humans could break the Dominion so quickly, what would stop them from breaking everyone else? But humanity did not seek conquest. They sought justice. On the flagship Eternal Resolve, Admiral Mara Sod stood before her officers. Her face was calm, her eyes hard. "We did not want this war," she said quietly. "We avoided it for centuries. We gave them every chance. But they came for us. They killed our people. They demanded our silence turn into submission. Now they will learn our silence was patience. Now they will learn our wrath." Her words carried across every ship in the fleet. The soldiers, the pilots, the captains, all listened. They did not cheer. They did not roar. They only nodded, their faces grim. They understood. This was not a war of glory. This was survival. This was justice. The Dominion tried to rally. They called upon their allies, demanded reinforcements, built new fleets. But fear had already taken hold. Some allies refused to join, afraid of facing the humans. Others sent ships, but their soldiers fought with hesitation. The memory of black warships rising from the void haunted them. The Dominion sent another great armada. 200 ships strong to retake Corrin's Reach, they never returned. Humanity's fleets were waiting, hidden among the wreckage they had left behind. When the Dominion arrived, the humans struck without mercy. The armada was destroyed in less than an hour. The galaxy began to understand the truth. Humanity was not just another empire. They were something different. They did not fight for power. They fought with purpose, with precision, with a fury that burned colder than fire. Dominion worlds began to fall. Their governors sent desperate messages to the High Lord begging for help. But the High Lord could offer none. His fleets were gone, his armies broken, his pride shattered. For the first time, the Dominion knew what it meant to be hunted, and yet Earth showed restraint. They did not burn civilian worlds. They did not slaughter the helpless. They struck only at the Dominion's fleets, its armies, its weapons. They fought with fury, but they fought with control. The galaxy saw this and realized something even more terrifying. Humanity was not only powerful. They were disciplined. They chose their wrath carefully. On the bridge of the Dominion capital, the High Lord stared at the reports in disbelief. World after world lost. Fleet after fleet destroyed. His voice broke as he whispered to himself, they were supposed to be weak. They were supposed to kneel. But the truth was clear. Humanity had never been weak. They had been waiting. And now, the galaxy would learn the full weight of their wrath. The silence had ended. The storm had come. And the Dominion, once feared by all, now feared only one name: Earth. The Dominion was breaking. The empire that once stretched across hundreds of stars, that had enslaved whole species and crushed worlds beneath its fleets, was now bleeding in every direction. Their armies were gone, their warlords slain, their fleets reduced to wreckage drifting in cold space. And still, the humans advanced. Every strike came with precision. Human fleets did not linger, did not boast, did not revel in conquest. They arrived in silence, burned through enemy defenses, and vanished into the void. The Dominion could no longer guess where the next attack would fall. Every world lived in fear of shadows in the sky, of black ships that appeared without warning and left only silence behind, in the capital halls of the Dominion. The High Lord sat alone on his throne. Reports filled the chamber, defeats, retreats, despair. His generals no longer stood proudly before him. Many were dead, others had fled, the rest too broken to raise their eyes. The High Lord had once called humans weak, but now he whispered their name with hatred and fear. Earth, he spat, as if the word itself was poison. They will burn us all. But Earth had no desire to burn worlds in the command chambers of the human flagship. The Admiral watched the stars with cold eyes. Her fleet stood ready to strike at the Dominion's heart, but she hesitated. Around her, her officers waited for the order. "One more push, and the Dominion will fall," one of them said. But the Admiral only shook her head. "We did not enter this war for conquest. We came to end it, and we will end it on our terms." So humanity did what no empire had ever done before. They stopped. For the first time since the war began, the human fleets held their fire. They surrounded the Dominion capital system but did not strike. Instead, a single message was sent. It was the first time Earth had spoken to the galaxy since the silence ended. The message was short, but it carried like thunder through every star. We never wanted war. We asked for peace. We begged for silence. You chose otherwise. This is your last chance, stand down, or we will finish what you began. The galaxy froze. Never before had words carried so much weight. Billions listened to the human message, and for the first time, they felt the meaning behind Earth's silence. It was not fear. It was restraint. The galaxy understood that the humans had unleashed only a fraction of their strength. The true depths of their fleets, their weapons, their fury, still remained hidden. In the Dominion capital, the High Lord raged, refusing to kneel. But his people had seen too much. Governors, soldiers, even civilians knew the truth. They could not win. One by one, Dominion leaders broke away, abandoning their emperor. Cities rose in rebellion. Fleets surrendered without firing. And at last, the High Lord himself was dragged from his throne. Not by humans, but by his own people, desperate to survive. The war ended not with Earth's final strike, but with the Dominion's collapse. When the news spread, the galaxy fell into silence. Alien leaders gathered in their great councils, struggling to understand what had happened. Humanity had crushed the most powerful empire in living memory, yet they had not claimed its throne. They had not enslaved its people or raised their banners over conquered worlds. They had simply stopped, leaving the Dominion in ruins and the galaxy in shock. It was then that the galaxy realized something more terrifying than human power. Humanity did not want to rule. They did not want to conquer. They wanted peace, but peace on their terms. And if pushed again, they would show the galaxy what true wrath looked like. In the days that followed, whispers spread like fire. Some said the fleets humanity revealed were only a fraction of their true strength. Far greater armadas still slept in hidden starfields. Others claimed humanity had weapons never used, horrors too powerful to unleash. No one knew the truth, and that fear was worse than certainty in the capital of Earth. The council stood before their people. They did not speak of glory or triumph. They spoke of loss, of the colony burned, of the lives taken, of the price of silence broken. "We never wanted this war," one counselor said, her voice heavy with sorrow. "But when war was forced upon us, we did what we had to do. And if the galaxy remembers anything, let it be this: do not mistake silence for weakness again." The galaxy listened. And for the first time in living memory, they did not laugh at Earth. They did not mock. They did not sneer. They did not call them weak. They watched with quiet fear. Knowing that behind Earth's silence lay a storm, no one wanted to wake again. The Dominion was gone. The war was over. But the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had risen from the shadows, shown its claws, and then returned to silence. And in that silence, every empire wondered the same thing. If this was only the beginning, what would happen if the humans were ever truly provoked again? On the bridge of her flagship, the Admiral gazed out at the stars. Her officers stood silently around her, waiting for her words. She spoke quietly, almost to herself, but her voice carried across the fleet. The silence ends here, and may it never be broken again. The galaxy trembled. The sleeping giant had risen and, though it now rested once more, none dared to disturb it.